County here on the program today. Joining us, the Executive Director of the Stafford County Economic Development, Miss Kathleen Norman. I would have made Carolyn sit in the other chair. I mean, she's into this. And back with us, yes, Carolyn Dunn. So how do I introduce you? The former or the governor of the state of Kansas? No, I'm just kidding. You should be. But
I am the Strategic Projects Director for Stafford County Economic Development, and I'm also president of the board for the Port Authority of Stafford County.
Okay, what I'm going to do here, could you go around and to go to mic number 4? We have these new mics in here. Now, let me try that now. That might go a little bit. That one's not working as well right now. So, okay.
I'll talk loud if I need to.
Okay, that's very good. Thanks for coming up today. And we've got a lot of things to talk about, although when the other interview ended and then I just went over there, I don't have my official sheet here. So, Kathleen Norman.
Yes.
What was the first topic that we were going to hit on today?
So, wanted to kind of give a little update on housing. So, our current housing project, we just have 2 units left. They're under construction in Maxville. And so that means we've completed 7 or 8 of the original, if you include the K-State prototype. And so the final 2, which are the 3-bedroom, 2-bath houses on slabs, they're rental housing and were built with a couple affordable housing programs to come with the income restrictions. So it's exciting. We should see the Maxville units finished up at the end of, kind of the end of spring, beginning of summer. But one of the things that we're having to slow down on with housing is last year we'd proposed a new housing development program. So it was to do housing that wouldn't have the same income restrictions and that would allow us to sell the units. So we had done a lot of prep last year and then applied for moderate income housing funds through the Kansas Housing Resource Center or Corporation. And then we also had applied for some new housing investor tax credits. Unfortunately, we weren't funded in the fall round. And so there's 3 rounds this year, one that just closed, and we decided not to move forward in February, but we'll look to apply again in May. We're wanting to take some time to kind of reevaluate and revise our plan. Construction costs have continued to increase. Lumber's come down, but all the other materials have increased. So some of it's revising kind of the budget, funding, things of that nature, but also wanting to have a contingency plan. So if we don't get funded, could we move forward with some development, not as much development, even if we didn't receive those grant funds. So right now it's kind of in the let's rework, take what we've learned, and kind of develop a new plan that will move us forward.
How many homes will we have after these are completed?
Okay. So Stafford County Economic Development, our portfolio of rentals will be up to 13 units. That's the duplex in Maxville. We have the renovated house in Hudson, which actually we're looking to sell. So if anyone wants to buy a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house in Hudson, they can contact us. And then the 10 new units, which would be the K-State prototype in St. John, another rental house in Hudson, 3 in Stafford, 3 that just finished in St. John, and then the 2 in Maxville. And so those are all single-family homes. So
you were in here last time kind of talking about a new agreement that you're going to have to help operate these homes.
Yeah, so going from 3 rental houses or units to 13 is a lot. And so we looked at trying to do some stuff in-house, but it's just gotten to the point where we couldn't. And we found Housing Opportunities, Inc., which is a housing nonprofit here in Great Bend. And they have a lot of experience, especially in the compliance side of it, which these 10 most recent units have a fair bit of compliance, and that lasts for 15 to 20 years, depending which grant we're looking at. And so they have full-time property managers, full-time maintenance staff, just better able to handle the needs of the ongoing management of those properties.
How'd that come about?
It started with I think an email and then a phone call and then several follow-up phone calls. Some of it was just knowing that we were needing help, and unfortunately, well, I don't know. A lot of property management companies are not interested in working in the low-income spec just because of all of the requirements. A lot of it's the compliance. Some of it's just dealing with things that come with being in that realm. And so we approached a dozen different companies after previously trying to hire independently a property manager or a housing manager. One was part-time, then the other was going to be a full-time. And just, it's tough. And so thankfully it works out that Housing Opportunities was willing to take us on and has the capacity to do it in a way that's beneficial for both of us.
Well, it's kind of a compliment to you because they do this all the time, and they're making a lot of things happen here in the Great Bend area for them to come down, and that's going to be a nice compliment to you that they've got it going on down there.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that they're willing to work with us, and I think this will probably be the start of further development. They'd done some contracting for us previously in the late 2010s, but I think this is going to kind of be a new opportunity to move forward stronger.
Kathleen Norman and Carolyn Dunn in with us here on the program today. We're going to take a break, regroup, and we will continue. Your clock's over there now. Okay, I mess people up and they haven't been here for a while. More Focus on Stafford County coming up after this.
You're ready for any task and you expect the same from your tractor. No matter the job, there's a Case IH Farmall tractor ready to work as hard as you do. With easy operation, an exceptional operating environment, and more standard features that enhance productivity, Farmall tractors deliver the power and flexibility to knock out chores and keep going. Stop by Can Equip in Great Bend and find a Farmall to meet the demands of your operation.
Can equip you.
At Mucinex, we don't believe in cold and flu season. We only believe in comeback season, which starts with 12-hour relief. Just one dose of Mucinex DM provides 12 hours of relief for cough and chest congestion day or night. That's 3 times longer than those 4-hour cough liquids. So say goodbye to cold and flu season and hello to comeback season with Mucinex DM. Nothing lasts longer among over-the-counter cold and cough medicine. Get relief that lasts with Mucinex DM. Use as directed.
Welcome back. Focus on Stafford County. We've got a little bit of time here, so I'm going to use it. Okay, is that okay?
Yep.
Okay, I know I didn't look at my sheet. Okay, we all know that Kathleen's kind of a short timer right now. But it was interesting to see as Kathleen, who came in as a Vista, and to see Carolyn over there, she just looked like beaming at she's just so proud of her fledgling and everything. Kathleen Norman's done a heck of a job, hasn't she, Carolyn?
You know, I love working with people that I learn from as well. And Kathleen's a good example of that. So it's fun. It's fun. I've enjoyed this professional relationship. I'm going to be sorry for the next stage in life, but also happy for what that brings for everyone. So, yeah.
Yeah, so let's jump into something else that's going big time down in Stafford County, and that's childcare.
Yes. So last week, the Zoning Board or Commission in St. John approved a conditional use for the modular building, so we can operate that as a childcare facility. So that was a necessary piece to move forward with KDH licensing for the providers that will be operating in that space. A number of the interior renovations have been completed, the flooring, the cabinets, things like that. The big thing will be once the weather gets a little nicer, we can finally start moving to the exterior, which will be new siding, getting grass seeded in, having some off-street parking, getting the fenced-in designated play area set up. So still a ways out because, again, it will be the summer before a provider is able to get licensed and be operating there. But good things happening and moving forward on that.
Of course, when you always have a thing like this happens first, everybody says, well, what's next? Where are you going next with this? What do we know next yet?
We don't have a definitive. Some of it's still taken a lot of time to try to get this one completed. Having talks with we previously looked at stuff in Maxville, would need a revisit, but we'd like to see Maxville have a licensed daycare open. And then I know the city of Stafford is trying to figure out what they're doing with some of their downtown space. And so thrown out whether or not you'd put childcare in there as a way to increase utilization. So
This is an interesting way that you're doing, because I know some of these, and Carolyn, you can hop in here too, but when you come in and because you wanted to provide childcare, okay, which we all know is a big need, but there are also people that are already providing childcare that might get a little bit, I don't know, threatened that you're taken away from their livelihood. But with the way you've done this, it's kind of an interesting concept.
it is. I mean, I would say because of the need right now for childcare, so far we have not heard complaints from the existing licensed providers. They're like, thank goodness, because I have a wait list that people won't get in. Like, their kid will be on the wait list from birth until they enter school. There's just such a need. The other thing is right now, Child Care Aware of Kansas is providing a number of grant opportunities or things to existing providers, and that is something not at the same level, but that the Child Care Committee wants to do. The goal is not to just try to get new or support new people. It is wanting to be able to also support existing providers, which we haven't done as much of currently with the big project and knowing there's other funding available to them right now, but that funding will end later this year, actually. So trying to kind of build ways that we might be able to support it overall, because we need new, but we also need the existing ones to keep existing.
Sure.
Otherwise, we need that many more new.
It's really changed a lot, because back in my day, well, if you become pregnant, the first person you call is your mom or your dad. Now you call a daycare center and get on the waiting list, right? I mean,
Basically,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
You do it 7-8 months out in advance. So
I've actually even heard stories of people that plan their families such that they don't have more kids because they know that that's going to be a challenge that they don't have an answer for. So
again, you wonder where
that's
economic
extreme,
development
but-
gets involved with this.
yeah,
Yeah, and you get that is such a big issue right now. So I mean, you're handling housing, you're handling child care. We're seeing that in Barden County. We're seeing it all over the state. And I've asked you this before, but I think you're kind of modest. But do people call you up and say, "How are you guys doing that?"
It ebbs and flows. It depends how much press has been out there about it. Every time there's like a news cycle, I feel like it was in the fall of 2021, like as the K-State prototype was finished, we got a lot of calls on housing for probably like a 2 to 3 month period, and even in the spring, a couple people coming to visit. And right now, we're working collaboratively kind of with Edwards County and Kiowa County to share knowledge. And our current VISTA is working on a guidebook, because there's a need where it's like, it's been a challenge. Like, even knowing from Edwards County experience and Kiowa County's experience, our own experience has been different trying to get our modular going in St. John. And it's like, the more you can kind of show what needs to be done or how to do things, I think that's helpful for people. So, I mean, we do. And I think one of the things is, given our size, there's different avenues where we're doing things that aren't being done in other communities our size. And so I think that's kind of where there's a model. We've had strong economic development in the county for 10 years. We're a county of like 4,000, somewhere between 4,000 and 4,500, depending on which numbers you look at. But I think there's things, and the more you can kind of share or grow those ideas, but it's challenging, and there's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
What a great place to go. I mean, it's like you think, we need to do this, but how do we even get started?
Yeah.
And you guys already been through all that, so yeah.
we at least have our story to share. It may not apply in all cases to everywhere else, but I've always been very willing to share what we did, right, wrong, or indifferent.
So but it saves people going down those dead ends that you did. Not that you ever went down a dead end.
Oh, no, not at all.
All right, we're going to have more of the show now. Carolyn Dunn came in here, it's probably about 10 years ago. Tell me about this port.
Well,
And I thought, well, okay, so they're going to build a canal into. Not the case, but that's what we're going to take a break and come back. That's it. That's called a tease, okay?
All right.
Yeah, okay. We're going to talk more about the Port Authority and how far it's come and still what we need to do to get it going. Stay with us.
Well, I see your neighbor got a new roof. You probably need to call Summit Roofing for a free quote. They specialize in the customer experience. That means that they talk to you about every job before they get started. Summit Roofing offers quality craftsmanship, and they have the answer for the roof on your home or business. Founded, owned, and operated in Great Bend. Wind damage, hail damage, roof inspections, they do it all. And no job is too large or small. Just ask your neighbor. Summit Roofing is a good name to know. Call them before the rain comes.
Okay. Port Authority.
Yeah.
It's not a canal.
We've talked about this a lot over the course of time, but it hasn't been recent. So maybe I do need to kind of go back to the beginning to refresh what that is.
It's amazing.
It's not a canal. It's not water. There are definitely examples of ports that are connected with water, but at its essence, it's just, public infrastructure that allows transportation to occur. So I sometimes say, think of an airport. It's a version of that. It's a place where airplanes use a public, piece of infrastructure, the municipal runway generally, and pay fees to be able to, use that and gain access to the airways in that case. Looking at an airport like Wichita, you can have businesses that locate there, like, major airlines, and they don't own the airport, they lease access to it. And we buy tickets to get onto those planes, and it's similar the way that we can be using this in an industrial sense. We can have port tenants that locate there and offer their services for the more efficient railroad transportation to various businesses in the area. We've tried to approach this in a way that not only helps us get businesses to locate in our part of the state, but is also very conservative to our limited tax base. One could assign a lot of, new taxes to develop something like this. But honestly, some of the challenge in a place like Stafford County is we don't have a very big tax base to begin with. So it would require applying a lot of mills to not generate a lot of money. And so for multiple reasons, we've really tried to approach this in a way that would be pretty conservative, not add a lot of burden. The whole idea is to be a benefit to our local taxpayers, not to add more burden. So we've tried to approach this by both identifying a tenant up front, applying for grants, and the more we can add tenants into this business plan, the better this works. So meaning that we have established a tax increment finance district in the area that the port will cover. And so for the first 20 years, all of the property taxes that come from all of the new building of grain bins, the new building of warehouses or fertilizer tanks or whatever those improvements are, they become a part of the property tax base. But we collect those for the first 20 years to help offset the cost of getting the port infrastructure built. So our intent is not to go to the public to issue a bond that they will have tax dollars to repay. So kind of a review of what has brought us to the point where we're at right now. We signed a letter first in 2020 with Wind River Grain that they basically said, if you build the infrastructure, we'll come. This is the letter of intent that allowed us to kind of move forward with grant applications. We established our tax increment finance district in the certain location. We acquired land. We've had engineered drawings developed for what that rail loop will look like. We received initially $2.5 million from the state of Kansas, and then the Kansas legislature added another $2.5 million to that. So with $5 million, we had a really solid start, but as infrastructure costs have gone up, just like every other construction cost has gone up, we've kind of not been sure that that's going to fully be enough to go to construction. We applied for a Federal Railroad Administration grant in December 2022. So just this last 3 months ago. That would be another $5 million if we were awarded that, and that would certainly make this job a whole lot easier. But we're so far along that we also don't want to lose that progress and don't want to miss this opportunity if we don't get the federal grant. So right now we are talking to 2 other businesses that we would like to persuade to locate here. And if they did, and those improvements that they make played into our TIF district, that would also make moving forward a lot more clear in how we make this work. We are likely going to consider a bond issued by the Port Authority, but it doesn't have to be repaid by increasing taxes. We can guarantee the repayment of that bond from the revenues we expect to get from those businesses. And so we're trying to approach it that way. To not lose the grant funding we have already been awarded, we know what deadline we have to have those expended by, and backing into that, we are looking to construct in fall of 2023. So
This year.
This year.
I just see you guys down there. There's been so many big emails that have come in to say, "Hey, you got this grant." I remember the grocery store one.
Yeah.
It's another one. Wait, how soon will we know on that?
That's a great question. Looking over the course of time, they have announced them as early as March, but they have waited as late as June to announce them too. So I don't know what to expect.
So there may be more fireworks off in the office again, going down there to get this. And
we'll see. Again, it would allow us not only to do this with more assuredness that we will easily cover our costs and not be so stretched, but it would also allow us to do some of the things on the wish list that would really set us up for more long-term, success and growth. We could probably get started on a shoestring a little more, but one example of this is that the existing power grid, electricity grid, will accommodate business number 1. But if we were to recruit business number 2 and 3 and such, we're going to have to build a bigger highway, so to speak, for the electricity to flow to this. We would need to invest in a transformer from a major transmission line, and it all can be done, but it will add a little bit of expense.
The electric company doesn't do that?
Well, there's always negotiations, right? Yeah. So that's one example of there's a lot of balls in the air, and we're trying to reduce those variables, I guess. But we're moving forward. There's still a lot that we're working through.
And as one thing, you've been really very transparent with this. I mean, you go back to all these initiatives, whether it's the first houses or apartments went up in Maxville, and you had to go through the process with the grocery store, and you've got a little bit of cred out there, I would think, from the community.
You never know. I probably need to work harder at making sure that people do understand all of what is being planned, how we're doing it, how this will affect them. If we do go to a public vote with a bond, to understand how that's really going to, either affect them in the short term or how it might help us all as taxpayers in the longer term. So there's a lot of story to tell.
But again, bond is not, there's different bonds that this isn't going to mean, it's a bond issue that this is going to add this much to your property tax.
It doesn't, it's not it's not the only way that bonds are done, for sure.
Because I can hear the calls going, they were on the radio. Like, no.
Yeah.
Especially, Anything else here? And we got or did I take too much time?
No.
You come back next month, Yeah,
I don't know. They may see some things coming up here in the very short term as we kind of work through our zoning permits.
Okay.
So that might be a thing that the public should know is kind of on the docket as well.
Still taking applications for your job then, right, Kathleen?
We are, though we have started the interview process, so
Really?
who knows? Yeah. So
I hope they don't find anybody for a while. I don't want Kathleen
You have to
coming
train some new people to know how to come,
Well, look at
come to
that.
the station.
You're handling that microphone now, okay, even though it tipped over. Guys, thanks a bunch. And yes, we will see you next month.
yes.
Okay. Here
Thank
on
you.
Focus on Stafford County, Kathleen Norman and the one and only Carolyn Dunn here with us today on the show. News coming up next. Sports Day at 12:30, all on the Talk of the Town, 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM.